Hey, good afternoon, folks. My name is Dan Redig here on the Real Men of Real Estate. You can find us every third Sunday at 1 p.m. at 10:50 a.m. or 106.5 FM on your dial here at KCAA Radio. So thanks a whole bunch for tuning in. And thanks real quick here to my guest today, Michael Cormier, for joining us. Michael is a wholesaler working in Southern California who's finding his way through, really making a name for himself at this point. And so we'll be talking about his story, how he got into it, and doing a little bit different take on maybe some ways that folks might be able to get into this real estate investing business. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. So just to help people kind of understand what it takes to get into this, would you just start by sharing a little bit about you? Like where, how did you get interested in this? Maybe what were you doing before?
So beforehand, I'm sorry about that. Beforehand, I was in the military,
Uh-huh.
military background, and I just figured, hey, I got no one shooting at me. Why not give it a shot, right?
Okay. So you're just interested in real estate, generally speaking.
So real estate overall it's kind of like one of those things that I knew about. I was like, oh, okay. Um, saw it, but I thought, well, you got to have a real estate license and
Mm-hmm.
be an agent, and didn't really know too much about it. Just heard
Yeah,
people talk about it, but I didn't understand how I could make it work for me.
got it. So what got you over that hump? When did you know that it could work for you?
Well, I realized that it can work for me. I was doing um, going into my started personal development, and it was about 3 years ago, I would say,
Okay.
about 2019 wintertime. I was working for a private security company, and I was just seeing everything was kind of going around me. I'm like, there's got to be a different way. There's no
Got
way
it.
I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. um, Got into a personal development conference that was supposed to be hosted in I believe March or May, yeah, March of 2020,
Oh
and
man.
we all know how that
Yep.
and then it went to virtual. And one guy was particularly talking about the power of real estate,
Mm,
and he was telling me, he was just eventually telling everybody online is like, hey, look, you can do whatever you want. You could put your money in the bricks and have it work for you. I was like, wait a minute, I could put my money in the bricks and have money work for me.
that's a whole lot different than
Okay.
working security, ain't it?
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of different. I'm kind of you kind of caught my interest. And he explained how he has um, every building for every purpose in his life.
Interesting.
So he holds a rental for to pay his car note, for
Mm.
vacations and so forth. And I was like, oh, okay. So
I've heard of that strategy. It's useful to break it down like that to try and just chisel away at one block of expenses at a time instead of trying to imagine this whole thing that's hard to get your head around.
yeah, and he explained that. And I was like, wow. So I can have real estate to take a vacation. I can do that.
Yeah.
I
Right.
can I can have real estate pay for my my insurance and car note. Wow, this has really caught my attention.
Yeah. Well, and once you're done paying for the car note, that asset still produces income and you can do something else with it. It, you know, it's being wealthy is one thing, being rich is another. I'd choose wealth.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So those are some pretty key lessons. It sounds like that really forced you to kind of take a look at what you were doing and what happened next.
Well, the next thing that kind of happened was, now everyone nowadays has like a course, and so I kind
Hmm.
of got into just wanted to check it out, and it was more of like a an introductory course into real estate. You can use your job to produce wealth, to buy.
Gotcha.
They just realized like, hey, it's not as hard as people think it is. You obviously
Hmm.
have to do a little bit of groundwork beforehand. So I got into it, created a business,
Okay.
started talking with CPAs and attorneys, and I'm like, oh gosh, what is all this stuff that I'm getting into?
Okay.
An attorney business, oh, picking out a name and saving up to purchase and just getting around this whole different way of thinking and
Mm-hmm.
using my money. So
Okay. All right. So that's kind of the first thing. So what strategies were they talking about? Like, you're going to dig in, right? So what did it look like then?
so their strategies, I mean, it was very simple. Uh, Strategy: use your 9 to 5 job to make generational wealth, or to use it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it was. It's like, okay, you're already working already, but what are you working towards? You know, uh, are you just going to go spend that money and
Mm-hmm.
use it for something? So it's just putting money off the side till you had enough,
Uh-huh.
and just to talk, or not to talk, but to purchase your first property.
Got it. So you're talking strictly buy and hold at this point.
Mm-hmm. And or
Okay.
whether it would just be a flip. It just depends on
Okay.
what your game plan was. It's like, what were you going to use? What is your goal? Is this more of you want to have an asset that's going to be providing for you over a long period of time, or do you need this big chunk of change as far as to make
Mm-hmm.
a different move?
Got it. All right. So you hadn't really got into the creative side of real estate investing yet.
No, not at all.
Okay. So you're looking for a chunk of change, right? You're trying to save up your pennies. So what happened? Where'd you go from there?
Where I went from there was is just like, okay, well, if I need to get more money, the only way that I know how to about doing that is to work more hours. So did that, was putting money off to the side, and then slowly did that. As time went on, I got introduced to another person
Mm-hmm.
who was doing a clever way of going about real estate and getting into wholesaling.
Okay.
So I invested my money into that
Okay.
and
So
said,
what is wholesaling? Just tell our audience what is that strategy?
so wholesaling is, you're pretty much going out there, finding a house that a person that wants to sell. You get it under assignment, and then
Mm-hmm.
you send it out to a buyer, somebody who's going to do something with it. And then you just kind of tack
So when you
on.
say it under assignment, you're meaning that you have a contract then to buy it, and you're going to transfer
uh,
that contract to someone else.
yes, I'm
Okay.
going to transfer that contract to someone else who is going to buy it at this particular price.
Okay.
Um, just for an example, just so the people who are listening, is for an example, a house is worth, we'll say, $700,000 after the after remodel value, or the
Mm-hmm.
after repair value. There we
Okay.
go. They want to sell, and I get the contract for, we'll say, 500,000.
Okay.
And so I know there's a buyer or a flipper, depending on who it is,
Mm-hmm. It could
and
be an
they're
end
like,
buyer though. It could be anyone.
just an end buyer in general. And they say that, hey, I tell them, hey, I've got this assignment under contract, and I will my my price is 550.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, okay, they ran their numbers, do their due diligence, and they say, yeah, I want that for
Okay.
550.
And so,
So
all right. So you take a finder's fee for providing that opportunity.
yes, I take
Okay.
a fee, and I just use big numbers so people can see, like, oh, you can
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that. Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, But so that's pretty much wholesaling, just in a quick nutshell. As I got into this other program that I invested in, talking about wholesaling, creative financing, doing, owner finance, seller finance. And I realized, like, wow, I've really got into something that was kind of over my head.
Yeah. It's big. There's a lot going on.
Yes, I didn't realize how many moving parts were into that.
Sure.
Uh, Definitely something that I wasn't ready for, but I dove into it and kind of bumped my head a few times.
Sure.
And to realize that, hey, is this something that I kind of want to pursue for a long time?
Okay. So you got the bug. You've been bit.
Yes,
Okay. So
definitely.
that's about the same time it sounds like you probably started trying to market and find your own deals then.
I did, and it was let's just say places in the United States are not the same on where you need to market it.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit when we come back, but it's about time for us to take our first station break. So thanks, Michael. Thanks for being here. I'm enjoying hearing a lot about this story because as much as I know you, I haven't heard some of this. So this is great. Folks out there listening, this is a great opportunity to hear how somebody kind of figured this out for themselves. So we'll come right back after these messages. My name is Dan Redig here with my guest, Michael Cormier, on the Real Men of Real Estate at KCAA Radio. Talk to you all in a few minutes.